up on Public Eye News, we have an update on the Chocolate police officer involved in a car accident last night. We also have updates on what President Trump is up to now.
And Ludwig has our weekend weather report and when we can expect the weather to warm up. And Samantha will be back with a preview of the last home hockey series. Hi, I'm Charles Owsley.
And I'm Samantha Carter, and this is your Public Eye News. One man is dead following a snowmobile accident in Houghton County this morning. The Rochester Hills man was traveling on trail number 3 in Adams Township when he drove off the trail and collided with a tree. The 57-year-old victim of the accident was pronounced dead at the scene. The Sheriff's Department believes speed and alcohol both contributed to the crash. And a 56-year-old Escanaba woman pleaded guilty to charges associated with defrauding the Social Security Administration this morning in Delta County Circuit Court. Cynthia Marie Ogren pleaded guilty to 1 count of lying to a police officer, which is punishable by up to 2 years in prison and or a $5,000 fine. In exchange for this plea, prosecution will dismiss 1 count of false pretenses, $1,000 or more, but less than $20,000. Additionally, Ogren agreed to pay restitution to the Social Security Administration for nearly $56,000.
A Chocolate Township police officer has been released from UP Health System Marquette this morning after a 2-vehicle crash last night. The incident occurred last night around 6:40 p.m. at the intersection of US 41 and Orchard Lane. According to Marquette County Undersheriff Dan Willey, the officer was heading south on US 41 when he made a left turn onto Orchard Lane. A small SUV came up from behind and crashed into the squad car's driver's side door as he made the turn. The unnamed driver is a 68-year-old man from Rapid River and was under the influence of alcohol at the time of the crash. Cognition Brewing Company in Ishpeming was in Marquette County Circuit Court this morning after unexpectedly closing last week. Owner Jay Clancy says they have regained access to the brewery and the tap room will likely be open to the public tomorrow night.
New details regarding the Flint water crisis and its recovery timeline were announced this morning. The state of Michigan intends to provide Flint residents with water filters and replacement cartridges for the next 3 years following the city's crisis with lead-tainted water. Officials will provide citizens with the filters and replacement cartridges while they replace lead pipes and some other water service lines throughout Flint. They expect to replace service lines at 6,000 homes this year. A new bill proposed by Michigan legislatures that would give local authorities more power to limit fireworks. The proposal is in response to a 2011 change in Michigan law that allows citizens to purchase bigger fireworks and use them with fewer local regulations. The proposed legislation would expand the days that local officials can prohibit the use of consumer-grade fireworks. Currently, local governments cannot prohibit fireworks on the day before, the day of, or the day after any national holiday. However, the new legislation would limit those holidays to New Year's Day, Memorial Day, and Independence Day. And after the break, we'll be back with your national and international news. Stay tuned.
Saturday at 5 after Outdoor Wisconsin on Public TV 13.
And welcome back. President Donald Trump and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe are set to meet today in the Oval Office to discuss security and economic ties. Following formal talks, the two will hold a joint news conference and working lunch before heading to Florida to play golf on Saturday. Prime Minister Abe previously met Trump before his inauguration and is only the second world leader to meet him after being sworn in. Despite the animosity between world leaders after speaking with President Trump, Japanese officials say they are optimistic about the meeting. President Trump tweeted, "See you in court," after a Washington judge ruled against his travel ban, and top officials on Capitol Hill have responded. Major Garrett is at the White House tracking the political fallout.
Shortly after the ruling, President Trump told reporters off camera the legal fight is far from over.
It's a political decision, and we're going to see them in court.
The president stood by claims that the travel ban contained in the action is America's best defense against terrorism.
We have a situation where the security of our country is at stake, and it's a very, very serious situation.
Rip up this order.
Democrats on Capitol Hill celebrated the legal victory, but conceded there must be a bipartisan immigration solution.
I hope he gets on board and starts focusing on the real sources of the problems and the real challenges.
I hope the president comes to Congress and says, let's work together, Democrats, Republicans.
Jeff Sessions.
Sworn in at the White House, Attorney General Jeff Sessions vowed to fight for the president's policy.
We'll defend the lawful orders of the President of the United States with vigor and determination.
Later, in a message to the Justice Department, Sessions implied the federal courts got it wrong.
When one is standing in court, representing the United States, there's no place for partisanship or bias.
With this legal clash possibly headed to the Supreme Court, the president yesterday entertained red state Democrats up for re-election in 2018.
I urge you all to confirm him.
And pressed for their vote on behalf of his Supreme Court nominee, Appeals Court Justice Neil Gorsuch.
A lot of people are liking him very much on the other side. And I think that because of politics, perhaps they're not going to vote for him. I think that's a shame because that's not being honest.
President Donald Trump's new health secretary took office this morning and in doing so became the newest member of the president's cabinet. Vice President Mike Pence administered the oath of office to Tom Price at the White House hours after the Senate confirmed him 52-46 in another highly divisive party line vote. Congress Republicans anticipate Price will play a key role in the repeal and replacement of the Obama-era Affordable Care Act. And a new approved therapy to treat a type of eczema is in dogs is providing some much-needed relief to man's best friend. Kenneth Craig reports from New Jersey.
Barbara and Jeff Lebaugh say if their two golden retrievers could speak, they'd tell you they'd used to be in agony, constantly itching.
Different kind of allergies, but they were both miserable. Yes, she's telling you I was miserable.
Their allergies triggered atopic dermatitis, which is like eczema in people that left the dogs scratching and biting at their skin. 8-year-old Cleveland had it the worst.
He started developing these terrible hot spots. We tried doing everything, but nothing was helping.
But now, a new USDA-approved treatment is providing Cleveland and his sister Cece some relief. Veterinary dermatologist Ian Spiegel says the first-of-its-kind injection for dogs, called Cytopoint, targets a protein to stop the itch.
It's blocking this pathway or transmission to the brain that basically tells the dog to lick, bite, chew, scratch. So you're kind of shutting that off.
The injection is administered every 4 to 8 weeks. Dr. Spiegel says unlike steroids and other medications, there are virtually no major side effects for dogs, and it can be combined with other treatments.
It's really worked for us, and it's really worked for them, and their lives are so much better.
And Cece and Cleveland seem to agree. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Glen Gardner, New Jersey.
Officials at the Vatican are dismissing a spoof newspaper mocking Pope Francis over his mercy over morals priorities. The fake publication L'Osservatore Romano has appeared as hundreds of anti-Pope posters have been posted on Roman billboards over the past week. Articles poke fun at Pope Francis's refusal to respond to 4 cardinals who publicly questioned his position on whether remarried Catholics can receive communion and his relationship with an Italian journalist. On Wednesday, President Donald Trump reaffirmed Washington's One China policy in a call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. After accepting a phone call from the president of Taiwan 2 months ago, President Trump spoke with Xi, reassuring him that he would not seek to tarnish relations between the two states. Since 1979, Washington has only maintained unofficial ties with the self-governing island of Taiwan, which China claims as part of its territory. According to the White House the call took place last evening, Washington time, as the two leaders discussed several issues, including the One China policy. And after a break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
This week on Media Meet, what happens when the state terminates its contract with a key emergency medical services coordinator for Upper Michigan? I'm Bill Hart. We'll discuss the matter with UP EMS Director Bob Struck, UP Health Systems Emergency Services Director Allison Sundberg, and 38th District State Senator Tom Casperson of Escanaba. The future of UP emergency medical services this week on WNMU's Media Meet.
Hi, and welcome back to Public Eye News. I'm Ann Ledwig. As you can see outside, it is a beautiful day out there, starting to become a little slushy out there, so if you are driving, be careful. So our current conditions is cloudy with a temperature of 27, winds south at 18 miles per hour, and the pressure is 29.58 inches and rising. And tonight we're looking at some rain and snow, a low of 25 and winds west-northwest at 11 miles per hour. Tomorrow some snow, a high of 28, winds at north at 9 miles per hour. And looking across the UP, over here in Sault Ste. Marie is 23 and snowing, 30 in Manistee and snowing, 28 in Escanaba and cloudy, and 30 and cloudy in Menominee. Over here in Iron Mountain, it is 28 and cloudy, 32 in Ironwood, and 29 in Houghton, 27 back here in Marquette. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Sunday, a high of 31, low of 17, and snow showers and some wind. On Monday, a high of 39, a low of 29, and partly cloudy. And on Tuesday, a high of 30, low of 16, and some snow showers in the evening. So Sam, it is looking to warm up this weekend, but I hear we had a tough last night.
We did. Both of NMU's basketball teams fell just short against Saginaw Valley last night at the Barrie Event Center. For the men, Wildcat Naba Eccles scored a season-high 29 points, including the game's first 2 baskets. However, Saginaw's CJ Turnage was fouled late in the fourth quarter, sinking 2 free throws and with just a half a second on the clock, giving them a 1-point lead over the Cats. The final score was 63-62. On the women's side, the Cardinals edged out the Cats 62-60. Darby Youngstrom led NMU's efforts with a career-high 20 points and 7 rebounds. Both teams face off against Wayne State in the last home games of the season. The women play at 11 a.m. and the men play at 1 p.m. in the Barrie Event Center. And in another final home series for the season, NMU Wildcat Hockey will host Alaska Fairbanks on Friday and Saturday. This will be the first meeting of the 2 teams this season. Last season, the teams split the series 2-2, each scoring a 5-2 victory at their last 2 meetings. Hopefully, Wildcat goalie Ate Tolvanen can continue his shutout streak. His streak currently stands at 215 minutes and 42 seconds. Tolvanen currently leads the country in goals against average and shutouts. Puck drops at 7:07 p.m. at the Barrie Event Center. And in professional sports news, Tiger Woods will be withdrawing from his next 2 tournaments due to ongoing back issues. The pro golfer said on his website today that he was advised by his doctors not to play so he can continue treatments. Woods withdrew after 77 in the first round of Dubai because of what he described as back spasms. He was scheduled to play at Riviera next week in Los Angeles for the first time since 2006. The following week, he was supposed to make an appearance in the Honda Classic in Florida. Woods was previously out of golf for 15 months while recovering from several back injuries.
And that's all the time we have for you today. Thank you for joining us on Public Eye News, and we will see you next week.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.